Massachusetts.
Go Sox!
Throughout our use that a lot of the main characters are biblical characters, but there's a lot of creatures and other types of characters on the show, and I'm just curious how much of them, or how many of them, are actually based on real mythology and lore, or how many is just like completely sort of a made-up kind of thing. And if you could also kind of speak to like the hexes and the language sort of as a part of that. Are they really speaking Latin, or are you guys just kind of making all this stuff up?
No, it's real Latin. We did a thing, I think, where we had to spell in Aramaic, and no, that's all real. One thing we've tried to do right from the beginning is that these things are all sort of based in some kind of, if not reality, at least some sort of mythology. That's always been important to us. We, of course, take it and make it our own. But any monster that we have is, say this word, Googleable. So that it all comes from some sort of mythology. We have some disagreements in the room. I'm of the feeling that when we come up with a monster that's sort of new and not necessarily recognizable, and whatever that monster's powers or what they can do, I don't think those work as well as sort of tried and true ones. And I think one thing we really do well is that our vampires are not cookie-cutter vampires. They all have their own personalities. They all have their own stories. Eric used to say, every villain is the hero of his own story, and that's something that we've always tried to do and give them a life of their own, like the alpha vampire characters like that. So I think the more we stick to, kind of at least what people know or what they're familiar with, and then put a twist on it, that's when we do our best. But but all these, even the ones that have these crazy names, you can look up on the internet somewhere. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. First of all, the entire cast and crew, you guys, we love you so much, and you've done so much wonderful stuff over these years. It's amazing. My question is regarding the final scene of season 10, My Brother's Keeper, when Dean doesn't kill Sam and ends up killing Beth instead. The motivation there was some debate among some of my friends about whether it was just that Dean couldn't bring himself to actually go through with it and killed Beth accidentally, or whether it was the mark of Cain exerting a force over him because it didn't want to be cast into oblivion, so it spared Sam so that they couldn't send him away and killed Beth in the process. So just wondering what the motivation in that scene was.
Really, it was really Dean overcoming that in the end his love for his brother.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay. That's what we did. But that's really, if you have one solid base theme to the show, that's what the show's about. It's about the love these guys have for each other, and even though they've gone far afield, they split from each other, they get in these awful arguments and some terrible fights. In the end, it's about the love they have for each other, and that conquers all. So.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I know there's been some ideas for a supernatural spinoff before that's been thrown around, but I would like to know if Wayward Daughters could be seriously considered as a spinoff instead of to grow more than the little bit we've seen on the show so far and actually be its own show. Is that a possibility?
That is a distinct possibility, yeah. But like I said to the other person, it's really in its most beginning of stages. But yeah, we're seriously talking about that.
I was just wondering, since in the earlier seasons of Supernatural, Sam and Dean both used the word Christo to find demons, and I was just wondering why they don't use it anymore? Because it could be very useful.
Well, that was we did that in the airplane episode, Fan Traveler. Which, when you asked me about the ones I directed, which ones that I like that one a lot. That was the first one I directed. I wasn't supposed to direct it. The director dropped out, and that was really one of the first episodes that I think the humor of where the show's evolved in terms of the humor in the show, where we really sort of started that. Part of the humor there was Dean walking up and down the aisle of the plane going, Krista? Christo. So it was kind of we used it for humor, and if we could rely on something that easy with the demons, I don't think you'd get the drama that you guys enjoy. So we did that one for kind of a bit of a wink and a nod. This line is getting shorter.
Hello. As a fan of your work on both Supernatural and Lois and Clark, I was curious if Sam Winchester and Lois Lane were on the same case, who would crack it first?
What?
As a fan of both Supernatural and Lois and Clark, if Sam and Lois Lane were on the same case, which one would crack the case first?
There's a pure prejudice here, but I'm going to go with Sam. Terry was great in that part, and I mean, and we had a lot of fun making that show. But that show, I think, was certainly a lot lighter and a little sillier than what we're doing on this. But yeah, I'll go with Sam because he's such a bulldog.
Hi, I was wondering what happens to the creatures in Purgatory when they die and the part of them that was once human?
What happens to the creatures in Purgatory?
When they die and the part of them that was once human?
Well, when they're in Purgatory, and correct me if I'm not getting your question right, but getting out of Purgatory is just, that doesn't happen. Benny found a way, but he was like the only one. So yeah, they're there, they're stuck there for eternity, and it's just somewhere between heaven and hell, but not a fun place to be. But getting out of Purgatory is not going to happen. That was, that's something that we tried to play up in that year, was that this idea of fighting their way out of Purgatory was a really difficult thing. Ben Edlin had a whole thing where we'd get these discussions in the writers' room. Well, once they got out, well, Dean would never be a friend with a vampire. And we said, no, there was a bond that was created here, And one thing that we do is that with the British Men of Letters, this year, their idea is that every monster is a bad monster. Anybody who's a werewolf or a vampire or any sort of a monster, you got to kill them. Our guys have learned over time that not all vampires are bad, not all werewolves are bad, so there's our guys are getting into, they get the shades of gray. That's going to play, that idea is going to play in a fairly big way as this season progresses, when the boys and the Men of Letters start bumping heads a little bit. So anyway, I hope that answers your question about Purgatory, and I'm giving you a little hint of what's to come. Is that 5 minutes or 5 more people? Okay.
Hi, you brought back the psychic thing, just recently, last episode, how it was in season 1 and season 2 with Sam, and I was wondering if that's going to have any role in future seasons or in the season in general.
We did a psychic thing what?
The psychic thing, it came back last episode, the topic of it, and
Oh, right.
Sam was talking about how he was a psychic, and I was wondering if there was a reason why that psychic was brought in, or if that was just a filler kind of thing, or...
Well, we don't think it was a filler kind of thing.
Well,
We like to think of it as a standalone episode. No, that was we don't, there's no grand plan for that. We haven't visited the whole psychic phenomenon in a while. It seemed to just work great in this particular story. It's one of our new writers wrote that, and we're really happy with it. Yeah, we got a really good writing staff this year. We lost Robbie. Robbie's gone off to try some things on his own, and losing Robbie was a loss. But I think between Andrew and Brad Eugenie and Bob Behrens, who were all there last year, we've added 3 new writers who are all really gung-ho to do the show. They love the show. Everybody gets along great. So I hope you get a sense of that as what you've seen so far. But we're real happy about that. But I think that's the only psychic thing we have planned for so far anyway. It's gotten dark. Now I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can hide behind the chair, going back to these fake ferns and fall off the stage.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a theater major in college. I'm actually in my senior year.
Where?
At Drew University. It's in Madison, New Jersey.
Whoa.
And my question is, since I'm graduating and I'm a theater major, my passion is acting, what advice could you possibly give for someone like me who wants to do what the guys do and be able to be a part of something like this and make an actual difference as an actor?
Well, here's the way I feel about acting. Any job you can get acting, starting off, just do it. You work out that muscle, you learn. Getting to be a lead in a television show is a really hard thing. MGM used to have the thing Ars Gratia Artis, which is art for art's sake. If you're passionate about acting, it doesn't matter if it's just a local theater production or an off-Broadway play or a one-person show of reading the sonnets from Shakespeare. Just keep acting. I say this to writers, by the way. Writing is really the only job in television or just in anything in the arts in which you don't need anybody's permission. If you're going to direct something, somebody has to say, all right, here's the money for it. If you're going to act, somebody has to say, all right, here, you have the job. Writing, you can just keep writing until something clicks. With acting, you have to really pursue it. Take those jobs as they come along. There's no job too small. There's no part too small. If you are lucky enough to hit it and get onto a hit TV show, that's great. But that's, I don't think you can aspire to that. I think you can only aspire to do the best work you can as an actor, and then let the rest of it take care of itself.
Thank you very much.
There's a trench here now. This was worn out.
So, Jimmy Novak's wife's name was Amelia, and Sam had a girlfriend named Amelia. And just last night we were watching Mystery Spot, and the trickster pretends he has a wife named Amelia. I was wondering if there was any significance to that, if it was that character name was used because of someone, or if you know about that.
No.
Just someone likes that name? Someone just likes that name?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's, yeah. I think those were all different writers, and somehow they came up with Amelia. But yeah, I never thought of that, but no, there's nothing, nothing particularly, it's not like Bobby Singer. Uh-oh.
Hey. There's no Amelia theory?
What about this guy?
I love you. I gotta say, last night when I sang fairly well and Bob introduced it, which was completely unplanned, that's a special moment. Thank you for that.
That episode, God, I think we had maybe 28 pages in that bar. Two guys talking in a bar.
Yeah.
Directing, that's a bit of a challenge to try to make it interesting, but with the work that Rob did and Curtis. They made it, you know, I was like an audience. I would just sort of set the shot and they would start acting, and I was just kind of like, wow, this is great stuff.
It was like a play.
It was really, yeah. Here's a little thing about directing, and I'll get off. Years ago, I was directing a midnight caller with Gary Cole, and we used to have Gary would do these wrap-ups at the end of every show on the radio. And he did it once on this one particular episode, and it was great, as Gary always is, but there was just something that it was just not what I heard. So I walk out on the stage and I go, Gary, look, this time if you could maybe try, I was thinking that maybe, and I can't get the words out to express what I'm thinking. Gary looks at me and he goes, I know what you want, right? He goes back, bang, he just knocks it out of the park. I walk onto the stage and I go, you see, now that's directing. Thank you guys very much. Bye!